Welcome to Voices of Vermont. My name is Eric Agnero, and I'm here with the usual suspects, as I call them every time we're here, Sandy Baird, Kim Fiske, and Steve Goodkind. Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a nice holiday season. And but we're facing a real drama here in Burlington. The relations between the mayor and the police chief are getting very, very sour. And it started a few months ago, and now it's, the relationship is very cold as the winter that we're experiencing this year. What is it about? We're gonna watch this video that gives us a context of the situation.
A criminal defense lawyer wants a gag order against Burlington police. Good evening, I'm Kat Villianzoni.
And I'm Darren Perrin. It comes in the case of Michael Reynolds, a man with a long criminal record. His lawyer says comments made by Burlington's police chief infringe upon Reynolds' right to a fair trial.
Channel 3's Cam Smith is digging into this. Now, Cam, what are you learning?
Well, Kat and Darren, Chief John Murad has been outspoken about the failure of the criminal justice system in dealing with Michael Reynolds and other repeat offenders. Reynolds' lawyer and the county prosecutor say the chief's comments should be stopped.
This is a person whose behavior has habitually been unlawful, has been criminal, has been dangerous, has been violent.
It's statements like this by Burlington Police Chief John Murad that Michael Reynolds' attorney Joshua O'Hara is working to silence. A 3-page motion filed Tuesday, just hours after Reynolds appeared in court, calls on a judge to, quote, order the Chittenden County State's Attorney's Office and by extension its law enforcement partners to stop making extrajudicial statements about Reynolds' ongoing cases.
The ask would be to have no more of these types of statements that really would prejudice a jury.
Chittenden County State's Attorney Sarah George agreed with the defense's argument, calling police press releases inaccurate and misleading.
Seem to be only done to create fear and anger in our community, not just towards people committing crimes, but often specific people, and Mr. Reynolds is absolutely one of those.
Legal experts say the effort is unusual and will require the judge to consider different rights under the Constitution.
The public has a right to know, absolutely. Defendants have the right to a fair trial and impartial jury. Finding the balance between those two rights is really what I think is important without losing sight of that underlying issue when it comes to substance abuse, mental health, and homelessness.
Well, still no ruling on the gag order from the judge yet, but the state's attorney has also asked Murad's boss, Mayor Emma Mulvaney-Stanek, to rein in the chief. She tells Channel 3 News that changes are coming to anything that prevents a fair process. We did reach out to the chief for comment on the motion, but did not hear back. Darren?
That's the latest episode in this saga. Sandy, we turn to you to understand what exactly the lawyer is asking the judge to do.
The lawyer is the public defender, so the public defender is charged with both representing his client, the defendant, Mr. Reynolds, but also, in a way, the public defender and the prosecutor has to be always defending the U.S. Constitution. And the public defender is reminding us all that a defendant, even the biggest nuisance in the world, has certain rights. And one of his rights is to a fair trial, right? A fair and impartial trial. And what the chief of police is doing is commenting on that defendant and saying really rather nasty stuff about him, that he's a continued offender, that he has been in court often before. And what the public defender is saying, that's going to color the entire jury pool so that the police chief should shut up. And that's kind of constitutionally, I think, correct. You are entitled to due process in this country still. You are entitled to a fair jury trial. And if you are continually from the police chief talking bad about a person who is not convicted yet of anything, right, then you are coloring everybody who might be on that jury pool. And it's basically unfair. And so the public defender is asking the judge to tell the police chief to shut up, essentially.
How does that, like, say that someone was a murderer. A murderer was on the loose. And we're warning people this is a dangerous person. He's killed before. We got to catch him before he kills again. The police are saying all kind of things about somebody. How is this different than that?
Because it's a minor crime, number one. But number two, even so, I do not feel that constitutionally the police chief should not be commenting on a pending case. That's because even the person you're talking about, they have not lost their constitutional rights.
Correct.
This is a country that is a country of the rule of law. The rule of law is guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. Now, this is what concerns me, because I listen to this all the time. I go to meetings with the mayor, or I used to with Moreau, and I think people are so fed up with criminals, the homeless, and nuisances that they would agree, citizens would agree, to the suspension of the Constitution.
Some would.
Yes, some would. That is very worrisome to me. Okay, and I think it's happening, as a matter of fact, and it is aided by a man like a police chief who colors the entire city against certain people. Just shut up. Let that go to a fair trial. That guy will be convicted, most likely, or not, but let's keep our Constitution. This is the most precious thing about the United States of America, is our Constitution. But people are so concerned about the chaos in our streets, including me, but I'm still not going to, that they'd be willing to suspend the Constitution at this point. That's what worries me. And this was an important case because the public defender and the prosecutor, Sarah George, is saying we cannot suspend our Constitution even though we have chaos in the streets. And we do have chaos in the streets.
The police chief went too far. What should have...
Why did he have to do anything? Why does he have to comment on this pending case? Why, in the first place, yes, I think he went too far.
Was he commenting on the case, or was he commenting upon all the conduct of this person?
No, he was with that person's name. He was commenting on that person's case that he has not been found guilty of yet. How does that not influence the public to be biased against this guy? Why doesn't he just shut up and let the case go forward to the jury? The jury might very well find him guilty anyway.
And then he can comment afterwards.
Let the press comment on him. The press can look up this guy and see how many times that he has committed crimes. Let the press do it. Why does the police chief, with enormous influence in this town, besides which what I've seen over and over again is our streets are such a mess that people are willing to just bag the Constitution. A lot. I see it, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, you talk, often my friends are even talking about, well, you know, why should such a person be charged over and over and over with 62, 100 crimes? Because that's what our Constitution requires. It requires a fair trial. You want to get rid of that? I don't.
But when can a police chief, just to play devil's advocate, when would a police chief be able to comment on the fact that here's an individual, they've had, I think it was 1,000
I don't know.
run-ins, but it was a gigantic number.
I would say never.
Why would he not want to say something about this
Why?
individual?
I just said why.
Why?
Because that colors the jury pool in this county. You want to do that? Fine. I don't want to do that.
But what he's saying is...
When do we get information, though, also? When is the public...
Get information. You can get information from him. You cannot talk about that case. You can get information from him.
And you're probably right, but he was talking about the case, or he was talking about this person's past history?
He was talking about this person's charges against him. Some of them have been... No, current charges, yes.
Just the one that was in court for that day?
No, not just the one. He was talking about this guy as a repeat offender.
I mean,
I don't know that. Do you know that? I don't know what he's been convicted of.
He hasn't been convicted.
He hasn't been convicted of this current case. Okay.
Right.
But when he talks about this guy's past offenses, when he talks about that he's a dangerous human being, you don't think that's going to color a jury?
But when does the public have the right to know that we think we've got
You
this
go to the
dangerous
jury
person
trial.
off the street?
Yeah,
well,
because
no one's
there's
doing
a need
that.
for
No
press.
one's doing that.
All right, you have the press look it up and have the press report it.
Well, that's how it
But if
started.
the press doesn't
That's
do
how it started.
Yeah.
I'm saying
long before
you
the chief
wait
did.
till public people like journalists report it to the press. You don't let the police chief color the whole city against this guy.
And is this, just to be clear, this was the chief more or less giving out a press release about this guy as opposed to a reporter asking him a question about
it?
Yeah, it's a reporter
Okay, now
asking a
listen,
question about
that's
it.
also important,
But if
the
it wasn't-
press release. What the heck is, I don't...
Well, did a reporter, you just mentioned reporters would get the information. Well, did a reporter ask the chief about this guy?
I don't know.
And that's where this statement
No,
came?
he
Or did it come from the
gave-
police just making a statement?
You saw it.
Like a press
You
release?
saw this.
Well, I didn't, you saw him
You saw the
speaking.
police, yes, but he also said this guy has been convicted and basically he's a public nuisance.
But
that
here, I think it also said that, you know, it's a situation that is being on for a long time. That
Yes,
you
that's what he said.
people that have been committing multiple offenses
Yes,
are
that's
not
what he- that's the
prosecuted.
point.
Right.
That
So here
is
there's
the
a
point.
political,
Yeah.
you know.
Was he responding to that question?
I don't know, we didn't see that.
Or did, because
He gives
we can
press
back and look at it.
conferences. I wish
Correct,
I
but that
could
wasn't a
even-
press conference. He was standing
That was-
outside.
yeah, that was not
I
a
think
press
WCAX
conference,
was interviewing him.
Interviewing him.
And I was
Okay,
wondering, did
and
he respond to their
that's-
question or did he just
yes.
blurt this out?
I don't know. Why don't you go back?
We'll have to
It
look
is
later,
not
yeah.
We have to-
clear from
yeah.
this.
But
It is clear to me, however, that he issued very prejudicial statements against Michael Reynolds. You want that kind of behavior from the police chief? It's not constitutionally fair. And that's what the public defender reminded the chief of police about, as did the prosecutor, Sarah George, which indicates to me that both sides of the judicial system, the prosecutor and the defense, are telling that police, do not violate people's constitutional rights. And I think that was a good message. However, there's also something else at issue that I think that maybe we could show. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, you have a comment?
No. Well, the chief, during his briefing, did mention that Michael Reynolds did have 3 felonies, and he had committed some dangerous crimes.
All right. He
And
called them dangerous. I
Yeah.
heard that.
And he said that there were other repeat offenders like him, not as extreme, but there were a few. He was generalizing.
But I think what created this commotion is the fact that he commented on the fact that the prosecutor is not doing his job
No, he didn't.
or her job. Like,
I think that's what they're referring to. I
yeah,
think
that's what he
they were-
Yeah, I know.
was
I mean,
referring to. That
he has said that in the past.
Yeah.
Yes, he has said it in the past. And you know what? It seems to me from what we've all said and what we've all viewed is that there's not a great deal of love lost between the prosecutor and the police chiefs.
Correct.
Nor is there love lost right now between the new mayor, Emma Mulvaney Stanek, and the police chief. It appears to me that this city is in the middle of a conflict between our main officials, the mayor, the state's attorney, and the police chief. That's why I believe that he's no longer going to be our police chief.
He said so. He said
Said so.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he said
the-
so, but also Emma said that he won't be reappointed, didn't she?
No, he said, I will not
Yeah, I know.
stand for appointment.
I know.
She announced last night, she was explaining there's a process just beginning now for a new chief, and they're also looking for interim chief because she says they don't want to be rushed into
Right.
getting a permanent
And
chief.
she's
And they're
right.
looking for people,
right.
and they've been talking with past chiefs and some other law enforcement people in Vermont, see if there's anyone willing to take an interim position in Burlington while we seek a full-time position.
No, I know it. It appears to me, though, that this friction between Mayor Emma Mulvaney Stanek and Chief Murad
definitely
has been going on for a long time.
What could be the reason why is it?
Well, I think that the war, if you want to put it that way, or the sparring began because the chief of police here believes that the Progressive Party and the progressives on city council led a whole revolt to defund the police. And that's when it started. And I don't know the amount of police chief officers were cut or not.
Well,
You know that.
Well, again, that's the
Yeah.
defund the police, and that is what the police are holding against the progressive
Right.
police chief. Said that the city administration should apologize to the department.
Yeah, now that's what he
It's
says.
important to note that there was an effort where they reduced the budget of the police force.
Yeah.
And I think it was done stupidly. They should have had a plan and then reduced it, but they did a reduction in the plan. But that aside, no police officer lost a job, and no police officer has been prevented from being hired because of that reduction. They're so far below the level of
How
even
did that
the.
happen?
That's where the chief and maybe the previous mayor should tell us, how did that happen? In other words, they have like 65 officers now.
65.
Defunding the police took it down to 74. Well, you're still 10 officers below
what you're allowed to.
I mean, it doesn't even matter whether they had defunded or not. You still ended up with 65 officers, and you haven't made any progress, or very little, in getting back even to that lower number, much less 89 or 105 or whatever you want to call the number. So there's some explaining to do as to how the department shrank and got down to this 65 and has more or less stayed there. And I don't think you can say that's had anything to do with the city council. Who was running the place?
I agree.
You should probably look into how much overtime's being drawn.
I thought,
Well, they have to do that because they don't have enough people. I mean, what can you do?
Well, by not hiring, they can give themselves more overtime.
But I don't think that I don't think that's what they're trying to do,
But
because
don't
I don't
they
think
do
there's any
private-
officer who's
don't they do-
happy with the situation.
But don't they do private security even?
They have done that. It was
evening.
found out when numbers were reduced. Some of them were still being hired out by the Riverside condos or whatever that group of units are called out there, and we're working outside the department. So I don't.
But some are saying that they're having a hard time to hire because people don't want to be under this new charter, this.
But that's all.
But that's
Camisole.
new. But
It's
that's
all
new.
propaganda.
I saw the corporate.
It's all propaganda.
Yeah, look, go back 3 years when we got down to 65 people. None of those things had happened yet. There wasn't an oversight board even proposed or passed by in a public vote. The defunding had the defunding had taken place, but again, the number that was defunded to was still a higher number than they've had at the time, or have had ever since. There's something else desperately wrong there.
Look, there's another thing they're doing, which is they're going to build a new police station.
Right. Well,
and I saw the cripple on television last night saying it would be good for morale and good to get new hires. So that's another reason not to hire right now. I'm not accusing, I'm just saying.
No.
Well,
I get it. See, what I think is happening with, first of all, Burlingtonians cannot support financially a new police station. Not new high school, new police station.
You should
all
see
this
what's on.
The department needs what, $250
Well,
million?
it's 150. Now it's down to 150. There was there's a $20 million bond for public buildings, but I didn't think the police station was in that bond. There was another one of these forums I watched on YouTube the other day, and I don't believe they had the new police station in there.
I don't know.
It was $20 million for like city buildings and whatever.
Mayor Mulvaney Stanek has said she wants a new police station.
Yeah, but I don't think they're proposing it even now.
Better not.
We want one, but it's not in the budget right now. We want it.
You think, now, this is what we've observed. I mean, you got to remember, I was supportive of Chief Murad. The reason my kind of thinking about it changed was when I learned that we don't really have a police station that's accessible to the public. I mean, what the heck? What is going on that people cannot go to the police station and report crimes? What? How
But
come?
it seems that the mayor didn't even know that this was happening.
She knows it now, but
Until, she knows now because you reported on that. But, how can a mayor not know?
How can a city not have an accessible police station? How did
For
that
this
happen?
length of time, you figure someone, with all the complaining that's been done, you figure somebody would have done something about it. But it's just like crickets.
Because there's no organized opposition to do it anymore.
Yeah, but like Tim's case, you never heard back from them?
Never.
With that?
I never heard back after my bag was stolen either. When Eric and I went to the police station to make a report, we couldn't even get anybody on the phone. What has happened? I think the Burlington people of Burlington don't really know what to do about it.
But is there the national political atmosphere that is, spilling into Burlington? Because
There's two things that are happening which I think are incredibly dangerous. One, I think, I'm in a way, pro-police, local police. I want local police. I don't want the federal troops in here. I want responsible, locally controlled, too, police.
how control?
No, just that it has a citizen oversight committee that is overseeing the police, because I don't want an out-of-control police people.
That's enacted already, right?
Well,
the overseas committee. It isn't yet?
We can have one, but now the devil's in the details. We got to make that happen. We're allowed to make it happen. We have to do it. There is no oversight board at the moment. There's authorization, but in fact, the legislature though has not even blessed it yet. So really, it's not even officially in play yet that there's going to be such a thing.
Okay.
Voters have voted for it.
Right.
The legislature has to approve it. Then we have to actually make it happen somehow.
Do you know, I think this is the most important debate that's going on probably in all of our cities, is how much power are you going to allow the police in your life, right?
Sure.
How much power are the police? The reason I feel so strongly about it is, if you think about it, the only body that has legalized violence, that they're able to do legal violence, what is that body? It's the
United
cops.
States government.
Well, it's the police too.
But
Local
it's really the police, because the military even isn't allowed
The
to.
citizen give
Isn't allowed
that
to do certain
mission to the
things
police,
against
right?
civilians.
But that is why
That is
it's
a-
so important to have citizen control over violence. Because if I did what the police did, I'd be in jail for the rest of my life. But the police can do it because we have given them the power to bear arms.
We're hoping
That they will
Yeah,
learn.
and they have guns. They have the power to use those guns. We have, in this country, we have still the Second Amendment. However, most countries don't have a Second Amendment, and so then the police have all control over the violence.
Yep.
It's not right. We, the citizens, should be able to control that. However, over the course of maybe really began always in our cities, was that there's been increasing chaos in our streets, right? Is that true or not?
Yes.
Homelessness, drugs, nuisances, big time people who you would regard as nuisances. I think people are so fed up with those nuisances that they would grant the police too much power. I think that is a real question between liberty and tyranny. That is the basic power. And people are so fed up with it, being called names and people confronting them about panhandling and every damn thing, that people are willing to give the police far too much power. I really worry about that. This was and should be a free country.
But with the new administration,
Which
new
one?
federal
The Trump?
administration, new Trump administration, maybe we're heading towards this situation where the police will govern.
Have been I really, as a thinking person, I cannot go with this, Trump is so much worse. It's been going in that direction for a very long time.
I think we're going to find out if you're right about that fairly soon.
No, he is going to escalate.
Yeah.
But it's not that he is the cause of it.
Well, it's not only him.
Listen.
He's jumped in front of the parade here, and he's going to lead us that way.
Right. He is the evolving picture of tyranny.
Yeah.
But it didn't start with him.
No, of course not.
But is it that wave of, people willing to give the police so much power that has been like bringing Trump and...
Yes, guess where this happened most classically within my lifetime? It happened in Germany in the 30s.
Okay, yeah.
It happened when there was chaos in the streets, where inflation was out of control, where there were private mercenary armies running around, when everything that we've said is going to happen here, we have to be careful. It might happen because people don't like chaos in the streets. Do you? Do I? No. But am I willing to surrender liberty for that? Are you?
Well,
No, but many might be.
I didn't say that. Are you?
No, I know. But realize again, in this country, it's a little over 50% people even vote. So you've got this half that don't vote. I don't know what they care about. Do they care about liberty? Do they care about voting?
No,
they care
there's a lot of people who think that that's an intelligent choice.
Well, and they might be the ones that are saying, "Yeah, give the police all the power." We don't like.
It's not. It's not.
Just protect me. I don't care about
blame
voting.
The people who don't vote, because voting has nothing to do with it. When you're stuck with two people, like a guy named President Biden, who is allowing this genocide in Gaza, and Trump, who will still do it.
Yeah, they won't do it.
Yeah, he'll still do it.
Why would people vote?
He wants to even get back Panama.
If you look at look through the last 50 years, forget about before all this stuff started.
Yeah, I know it.
A lot of people that are sort of apathetic.
I know.
And all they want is to live in what they think is peace. If there's violence in the streets, do whatever you got to do.
I know
They're not engaged. They're not trying to think of anything other than give the police, get the police, round these people up and get them out of here.
But why are you blaming those poor people? What happened in this country is somebody put us in the direction of tyranny.
I'm not blaming them. I'm saying they would let it happen. They're not blaming them.
They're letting it happen.
Well, but a lot of people that are not engaged at all are allowing things to happen.
Right?
Let's see what happens with Trump and this immigration thing.
No, that's going to be horrendous. Yeah. I expect this out of that current crisis.
Yeah, and
he has vowed, and he got voted in on this promise.
Yes.
He's promised to round up the undocumented, not just the criminals.
Correct. Well, he's saying undocumented is a crime, and it is. It is.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, but it's not. It doesn't make you. It makes you.
It's not a violent crime.
No. No.
But you get sentenced anyway.
No,
you get
not
a sentence.
Get sentenced. No, you don't get sentenced.
Like
what you do
Trump?
is get sent back.
Yeah, you get sent back. But so.
Yeah.
Because you have no rights. I'm surprised that there aren't more people. This is what really surprises me.
We're a sanctuary city.
Yeah.
We're within 100 miles of the border, where the Constitution doesn't apply.
Right.
We're a target.
Right.
No. Everybody says, no, it won't happen. But Burlington's too unimportant. Are they crazy?
It's a perfect test for you.
It's perfect. It's small enough.
Yep.
And, if it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. But if it does work for him, it's a great. But look at how this worked. Blue state, Bernie state.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is this
even Scott is a rogue Republican.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect place to come down.
Scott
It really
is
is.
not going to be against Trump.
I'm not, but it's just one more reason to make us
another-
a target.
And to also have a good local police force, so other things stay in order. I know they can't control that, but it could get wild.
But Burlington was.
I mean, my prediction is, this is what surprises me, though. All the people who hate Trump, the Trump derangement syndrome bunch.
Me.
They know. They say they know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen, too. And I don't hate Trump, or I don't like him, I don't hate him. I don't feel anything personal about him. Okay. However, what are people doing to even strategize about what we're going to do about it?
I'm not sure we are, but there are.
Where? Tell me where, and I'll join that
I think
group.
American Civil Liberties Union is
okay,
gearing
they
up for
are.
it. They're gearing up for it.
No, they are not. You're not.
They are gearing up for
okay,
it.
this has got to happen. Citizens have got to be strategizing, not the ACLU necessarily. They don't reach the public.
Well,
We have to be.
They have resources. That's what we don't have.
But there's no, okay, so the ACLU, as you know, is a legal group. There are these people, as far as I can tell, the undocumented mothers, fathers, babies. I just saw a family like that yesterday looking for a place to stay. Ain't gonna happen. And they do not have any rights that I know of to be here. None. So those are the people who can be rounded up and sent God knows where. Okay, the thing is, nobody that I know of, because I would be there, is planning for that. No one is really thinking it through. I think he's going to round them up and send them back. I don't think they're going to be able to stay. I'm not sure.
All right,
on what grounds would you argue they should stay, other than humanity?
You know what I think they should do? Move.
Well, they may have to.
Get out of this border region.
I wish the opposition between the mayor and the police chief could be as civil as this one. I think we went a little bit too far. Let's see how the mayor reacted to this.
To what?
The judge was asked to.
Yeah, because this is problematic too.
I think Milo says a nice piece at the end.
Yeah, so let's watch it.
Yeah.
Burlington's mayor is now requiring police department press releases to be approved by her office before being sent to the public.
It's a response to concerns from the county prosecutor that the police chief is creating fear and anger in the community. Catherine Huntley broke the story earlier today. She has more details now. What can you tell us?
Well, Police Chief John Murad has used some department press releases to highlight what he sees as shortcomings in the criminal justice system when it comes to offenders who have dozens or hundreds of interactions with his officers. But Mayor Emma Mulvaney-Stanek will now require Murad to submit all press releases for her approval before they go out. This executive order comes after the lawyer representing one of Burlington's notorious repeat offenders said Chief John Murad's press releases hurt his case and the right to a fair trial. City Councilor and former Police Commissioner Milo Grant says it's important for the city to be transparent about public safety and doesn't believe the executive order will infringe upon that. She also agrees the criminal justice system needs change, but doesn't think Murad should use ongoing cases to make his points.
But he could have expressed himself in a generic way. He could have had a press conference. He could have talked about what is being seen, but to call something out an active case the way he did was not appropriate.
The Burlington Police Officers Association says they were reassured the administration would not micromanage press releases. However, they are worried the review process could undermine transparency.
Say the mayor doesn't agree with the chief or vice versa, my one worry would be, will something be left out because they can't come to an agreement about that specific statement?
This comes amid a search for a new police chief, and the BPOA is also worried about the message this might send to candidates.
They now are going to look at this executive order as something else that they could see as hamstringing their ability to conduct operations and actually get the correct information out to the public.
However, Grant says this executive order might not even be necessary with a new leader of the department.
As a good leader will see what happened was not okay. And they would understand why the mayor took the action that she did.
Police Chief John Murad did not respond to our request for comment on this new executive order. Reporting in the studio, Catherine Huntley, Channel 3 News.
Can I ask you a question, Sandy?
Yeah.
You know Murad's parents, at least. Where does he live?
Where does
the chief live, though?
I don't know. I wouldn't say if I did know.
Does he live in Burlington?
He has to, doesn't he? In accordance with the charter.
Well, but they waived that so much because
I don't know. I'm not good. I would not say that.
I'll say one thing
anyway.
about what's going on now with him.
Yeah.
He's running for mayor.
Who?
I said that
He's
this
running for
morning.
mayor. You wait.
I said that this morning, but
For mayor, you wait. If he's a resident of Burlington, that's his
I
end
said
game.
that
He's
this
going to run for,
morning.
and he's going to use this issue.
Wait a minute.
And he's running for mayor.
Okay,
Yeah, but wait a minute. He might be looking for a statewide office too.
Well,
All right.
he's got to do something for a living.
Yeah.
But don't surprise yourself if this isn't his step
I
to
know,
run for
that's
mayor.
what I'm
And this is going to be
talking
his
about.
issue.
So, Sandy, before we go to the political signification of this,
Drinking water.
does the mayor have the right to issue an executive order in this case?
As we have seen this morning, because we tried to look at the power of the mayor is outlined in the city charter, and we did try to figure that out because it also isn't so wonderful that she's issuing executive orders. I don't love executive orders, and neither do the citizens of Burlington. That order, a gag order, in effect, should come from the judge, and that has not happened.
Well, she is their
They
boss.
asked in the
She is his
court.
boss.
I know that. She asked, I'm saying something different, please. They're asking in the court for a gag order. It seems to me that that would be the best thing. If the judge issued an order that this chief should not be commenting on a pending case. However, the mayor superseded that, didn't wait for that, and she issued an executive order. Now, the political question and the legal question, in a way, is does she have the power to issue executive orders? And we have looked into that, and it's not clear.
Well, what I'm saying is she's the boss, but I think what
know.
she's also done is she didn't issue a gag order. She just said, I want to see what you're putting out before you put it out there.
But does she have the right to do that?
Oh,
I
think
don't know.
She's
That's
a
all.
boss.
I do, and you don't either until we look into the city charter.
I used to work for this. I know what it says about department
I know
heads.
what you've done in the past. I'm just saying her powers are in a charter, just like our powers and everybody else's powers are in the United
Correct.
States Constitution.
But reducing the ability of the chief of police
Yeah.
to express himself freely
Yeah,
can hinder transparency
that's correct.
because the citizen need to know what's going on.
Yes.
Well,
Okay, liberties are always ill-defined.
correct.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. So I want to know what kind of powers the mayor has, and whether or not she's acting under the charter or not. It's a question that every citizen should always ask, right?
Well, they'll assume that'll be hashed out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I
my
hope.
belief was, especially when I worked for the city, that the mayor is the boss. The only difference here might be in certain areas where a law enforcement officer has given certain powers, I don't believe she can supersede that. For instance, he's a certified police officer in the state of Vermont, and there's certain things he can do, and the mayor, I don't believe, can say
that's
not to
big-
do it.
I mean,
but I don't think
all
these
I'm
press
saying
releases
is-
were that.
All I'm saying is a question.
I mean, I made some research. It's common to see a mayor or city officer, city manager to ask, for the police to coordinate the communication with them. But, going all the way to an executive order, could be seen as a
I would love it if it had come from a court, and it might yet. It might, yeah.
But a court can only issue a gag order. She hasn't gagged him. That's the thing I don't understand.
No, but
I just want to see. I want to know what you're going to say before you say it, and I may not like what you're going to say.
Right.
That's different than saying you're not going to say anything. There'll be no more.
We don't know.
No more press release from the police.
Do you know what the executive order said? I don't know for sure.
I thought they said on the radio what it said.
But you thought it's something different than what. I don't know.
Basically, the executive order. I mean, we need to get into details of it, but it's before you put out a statement. We want to, make sure that the statement.
Make sure that we approve it.
Yeah, we approve. She could have done, of course, is just gone to him and said. Without writing the order, said, shut up. Yeah. I want to see everything from now on. I'm not going to write an order about it, but you better do it or I'm going to fire you or something.
Well, he's gone anyway.
He's gone anyway.
But politically...
But he's not gone yet.
It serves...
Yeah, I know.
Politically, it serves...
As I said, I think he's got an end game here, and we'll see soon.
Yeah, if he has a game, I mean, that means that this situation can help him. Because if he was pushing the mayor to...
But that's what I'm saying. The situation is so fraught with... really difficulties in our streets. I bet you he could beat her.
Well, I'm sure he's calculating that.
Maybe.
Of course. And he won't be the first law enforcement officer.
I'm telling you something
Other
else.
places in the country, you've had sheriffs run for higher office or whatever. They run on a law and order thing, and it happens. Yeah. I think that's what his game is.
Exactly.
He's going to be anyway under the law and order umbrella.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Exactly what I'm saying. Is that this situation is so fraught with chaos that people are going to be able to accept.
But my friends, I want to know: are we in a dire situation like here? Because Burlington is still being, presented as one of the safest city in the U.S.
I bet you it still is.
It still is.
It still is. I think if you go to other places, it's even it's worse. But it's not what we're used to. And you said it earlier, Sandy.
Yeah.
Those of us that have been here for a while think it's not like it used to be, and it isn't. But now we're more like every place else, but we're not like worse.
My hometown. When I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, it was a fine town, safe. People walked around at night. Something has seriously hurt our cities.
Oh yes.
And then it looks like we're not
catching up with us.
We're not trying to know exactly what happened, but we're just seeing wars and people confronting each other. But the real situation, we can't find the causes.
No, but also they're pretty unsolvable. I don't envy the new mayor. I have no envy for her. I'd like to be able to even help her because I don't see any solutions within our Constitution. I don't.
You're probably right. I mean, last night I thought they had a public safety forum. One of, I think, 3 or 4 they're going to hold. Last night's was about substance abuse, treatment, and enforcement. They had everyone from a judge from the drug court. They had a federal prosecutor. They had people working with outreach on the streets. They had some doctors that were trying to help establish more treatment centers for people, and maybe even they talked a little bit about the safe injection site and whatever. And there was pushback from some of the audience on these things. But it was interesting to see all the things we're doing, and especially our fire department is doing an unbelievable amount of stuff.
Really?
But I would say, having sat there, I would come away being cautiously pessimistic that it's not going to be enough.
No, I know.
No one last night was saying it was enough. And if you look at what we're doing, we're spending a huge effort dealing with substance abuse in the city right now.
Yeah.
Huge, more than I realized till I sat there at every level, from the courts down to the fire department. And I think everyone would say is we're not even necessarily holding our own.
No,
now, if they weren't doing these things, it might be even worse. Who knows? But it isn't like they're saying we've engaged in this battle and look at how much better it's getting. It's not getting better by maybe a tiny bit in some areas.
No, it's not going to get better either.
I know. It's hard.
Yeah.
And that's...
My theory about why it doesn't get better, if you think about it, is that young people grow, it seems to me, unlike when I was young or when you were young, and this is not nostalgia.
1900-something, I think, for me. Right?
What?
It was like 1900-something when I was...
Anyway, is that young people really are growing up rather hopeless. Like, what does their future look like? Working at some crappy job at minimum wage is the best they can maybe hope for? Is that really all it? I remember thinking that my father worked in a factory all of his life and died very early at age 56. He worked on an assembly line all of his life. Are you kidding me? What kind of life is that?
Well, you know something interesting, and I think you're on a right track here, but there's another statistic that came out this week. I didn't really thought much about it, but they're saying that the discrepancy between the wealthy and the others in Vermont, I think we're like number 1 or number 2, the most discrepancy. So the people you're talking about, the young people, don't have the wealth. What are they looking for?
I don't
just
know.
in Vermont. Now, I don't know about other states, but
It's
around
the
here,
same.
it could look pretty awful when you don't have anything going for you.
Exactly.
You're not
That's what
that
I
well
mean.
educated. The jobs
Even if you are well
there aren't even the
educated.
assembly line jobs anymore.
I have
There's nothing.
I have an interesting question for you guys. You said that decades ago it was peaceful.
No, I didn't say that.
no.
Please
It was
don't
be-
use words.
it was better.
Okay,
It was
Yeah,
better.
it was better.
It was better.
Yeah.
Was it better because the police was more aggressive?
No.
No,
No.
Or, I mean, there was...
No.
not at all.
Hey,
No.
Sandy,
It was
25
better because there was more hope in the population.
I mean, go back. My favorite police chief, Kevin Scully, still
Yeah, mine
around.
too.
And those days, think of the Kevin Scully days. Now, there was still violence at times.
At times.
But not as much. There was some homelessness and whatever. But the police weren't like
No.
strong-arm police. They were, I would call the kinder, gentler police.
Well, they were local
Kevin Scully,
cops.
John
They were
Sonic.
local guys.
They were regular people.
Yeah,
That's
regular
right.
right.
And they weren't using Burlington as a stepping stone to prove what tough cops
Nor
they
did
were.
they have huge military weapons.
Correct. So that's the old Burlington. Doesn't mean it was free of crime. Wasn't free of drugs. There was arson at times. There was violence.
Very little homicide, though.
But not a lot of homicide, I don't
Yeah,
think.
no.
But I'm not even sure now the homicide rate is that much more. But it was better. It was more peaceful. I think one example would be is back in those days, almost nobody locked their doors, especially if you
I
knew
didn't.
that-
I remember
I
that's,
didn't.
that's the
And
first thing I discovered here,
now
and that
there-
made
there
me
are
come
people
to
that
live
don't,
here.
But doors are locked, and that's what's changed. And it's not for just people like to lock doors.
Well,
the
what
sense
rea-
is it's not the same as it
What
was.
really changed, was drug abuse.
Yes,
That's what really changed.
correct.
I mean, when we were, I hate to say stuff like when we were young, but I mean, the most serious drug that people were using really was pot.
Yeah, we didn't have the big problem here
Right.
now with
Yeah.
No.
heroin and marijuana. I mean, heroin and crack. One thing they had a statistic last night, by the way. The law enforcement people said Vermont fits into the drug industry in 2 ways. We're an easy place to get weapons, and we're a good place to sell your drugs. We pay more here, they said, for drugs than you pay, say, in New York City. So for
Really?
the drug dealers, they can come here and get their weapons,
Because of the
and they can sell their drugs at a premium price. So that's where Vermont fits in. We're a good place to sell, and we're a great place to get weapons, and that's what's
It
happening.
looks like nothing is being done to curve down the drug problem.
There's nothing to be done.
No, I mean, not the use of drug, but we know who, I mean, I don't know if they know who comes with drug.
Well, if you go to the end of pipe solution would be China on the fentanyl. All right? And
Maybe
then
if we beat China, things will be...
They had prosecutors on this panel last night, though. They do go after people. It's not
Of course
it's not
they
an
do.
easy process because they don't just go down. You catch them. Oh yeah, we're guilty. Throw us in jail. You fight it, and sometimes they disappear. And
But they don't anyway stay in jail forever.
they don't. That's
But
right.
Sandy,
Right?
That's right.
30, 40 years ago, the anti-drug administration was a little harsher on...
No, that's
Well, they-
not.
I mean,
that is not.
I think they're still just as
true.
harsh today. I think they're
Yes,
still as
I
harsh.
do too.
okay.
There's just more of
So
them.
even they say it. They're
All right,
overwhelmed.
all right.
They are overwhelmed.
Exactly.
They had. I mean, I remember. You think back to the old days. Who was it? Not anymore or so, but who was the one that got caught at the border with? I think it was pot. Dave Abdu and some. That was a big thing. They caught a drug
hey,
dealer.
Don't use names. But that
it's
guy,
easiest to
I know
convict
that guy.
So do I.
I know, I like him. He's a
not a
good
bad guy.
guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. But yes, people were caught and they went to jail. But as far
heard
as
about
I
it.
know, the main drug here of choice was cocaine. It wasn't fentanyl at that time.
There was no fentanyl. It didn't exist.
You know, and fentanyl is really, really dangerous. So is cocaine, and so is booze, for God's sakes. But it just, the community wasn't as broken.
Correct.
I mean, I think most communities right now, for some reason, are broken. Okay, I'll tell you something though that appears to be a success story. Did you read the article about Decker Towers in 7 days?
Not this week.
This week. This Decker Towers was reportedly one of the worst places to live. People in the halls sleeping, drug abusers, the homeless were busting in. Somehow that community got itself together and now way improved. And it's because they started doing things like karaoke together. I would do that, honestly.
Yeah.
Why not?
Didn't they also, aren't they sort of patrolling their building
Yes,
more?
but it's self-patrol. They're
Yes,
not
sir.
calling in the chief of police.
Well, they called the police,
They
but they
have,
weren't
yep.
getting what they needed. But there must be somewhere in the train of what they're doing, the police and the courts must play some role, because otherwise the drug dealers wouldn't leave. They would just say, I'm not going anywhere.
No, I understand there's always a role for our police, but until the community acts collectively to police really itself as much as it can and to provide some kind of solidarity with each other, that's the key.
Well, I was thinking last night, I'm sitting in the meeting and thinking, you know, it looks like an intractable problem. Even when
I know.
you have all these good people saying the things they're going to do, we're like just sweeping under the rug in a way. We're doing some stuff, but most of it we can't even touch. But I was thinking of something. I think it's actually something you said. You know, we all believe in the Constitution. And You've got the Second Amendment. There was a time, though, when some communities, I don't know if Burlington ever did it, I think Vermont did it, where people were encouraged to turn in weapons, like assault weapons or whatever, weapons at one time were not legal. And they weren't going to be convicted of anything. If you turn your gun in,
But
it was an illegal.
What's illegal? What kind of a
Well,
gun?
they weren't.
You
at one
can't have
point,
a nuke, I guess.
At one point,
Okay.
Or it could be a
assault
gun.
weapons were illegal in this
Yeah.
country. Not that long ago, George Bush, one of the Bushes, put that in.
Brady Bill.
Yeah, well, it's not the Brady Bill. It was especially assault weapons weren't legal. 20 years ago, they weren't legal.
They also have
They are now.
buybacks.
But, well, they have buyback. They do all kinds of things like that. Well, I was just thinking about, though, one thing, I don't know if we could ever do it, but there ought to be something like, instead of turning in your gun day, turn your drug dealer in day. And just get the public to really get on it and get at these drug dealers and identify them, turn them in, and see if that somehow just push them out of here.
Maybe, but then
It'd be more
but
like that, but
you
just a
could
thought.
get those people in a whole lot of trouble.
Well, it can't.
Informing to the police?
Well, it's got to be something where it's just not like one person forming. Because the mayor, in fact, handed out something last night. It's a sheet which shows where you can make certain requests or report things. One of them was to call the police number. We know what happens there. But there was a number on there. Where do drug dealer tip line? The city has that.
Yeah.
I don't think most people know about it yet. But I'm not saying one person does it. I'm saying like a whole neighborhood stands up and says,
Well,
we all know who you are, and let's get at this instead of it being one person who has to worry about retribution, and that is a
No,
problem.
I agree. The whole community has to be.
Everyone get on it, not just
Right.
leave it to the snitches.
Right.
Do you guys think that this pairing between, those two big officials of the city could help? Because even if the mayor has maybe the right to order such to issue such an executive order, there is the perception of maybe covering something.
What do you mean?
I'd say it's the opposite. I think she's trying to stop the chief
I do
from
too.
demagoguing.
Yes, I
Not
do
that he's
too.
going to release something
And
that
I
she doesn't
think
want
that's
released.
fair enough.
Yeah, it could
he's
be
trying to push
perceived.
things.
Yeah.
He's using
Unfortunately,
his position
yeah.
to influence
Yeah.
other agencies of the state
But
rather
I
than doing his
think
job.
in the contest between the two, it's very dangerous.
Yes.
No, it is.
Because given the state of our city,
People, yeah.
the police chief
Yeah.
is going to win.
That's what I was.
And I think he's running for mayor. I think that's where he's headed.
Right.
So maybe you're right. She could have called him and summoned him. I mean,
did.
yes, she did. Yeah,
I bet
yeah,
she
yeah.
did.
Well, maybe she did, but it sounds like it must have gone too far that she had to feel she had to put it in writing. I'm not sure that she actually called him in and said, stop this now. I think she issued the executive order maybe to show how serious she was, but I think she may have gone farther than she had to. On the other hand, she could have told him to stop, and then he doesn't stop.
Yeah,
and then where are you?
yeah.
I bet you
I
she
mean,
maybe.
what has this guy got to lose at this point?
Yeah.
That's the danger of him
But
now.
is there a way
No,
for reconciliation? Is there a way
No,
to
not
have
between these two.
I don't think so.
to
No,
a
not
mediation?
between these two.
Can the public, can the citizen of Burlington do
you can
that
drink mine.
mediation?
Oh, no, I
Because
got
they
some.
do.
No, because the chief of police is now rudderless.
Correct.
He's
Untethered.
a loose cannon. He's
He's
untethered.
untethered.
He's a loose cannon. He's already been not reappointed. He's resigned. So he's gonna continue this because he can.
What's it-
because he can.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to lose at
But
this
also
point.
remember, Sarah George had like some issues. Like
Yeah.
recently, people thought that she was too loose on,
He has.
crime.
He said so.
Yeah.
He has said so.
So such an order could make believe that Sarah George and is being protected by the. I mean, her.
Well,
her,
she may be.
yeah.
Who knows what the motivation of her writing it was? Obviously, they're not at
They're
odds
not.
like the mayor, like the
Yes, they
chief
are.
and Sarah George are. Sarah George and the chief are on opposite sides of things, and Mulvaney is on Sarah George's side.
Yes. It's interesting.
well.
Anyway, because it's two women too, versus a male. This is not
gonna be
good for our
difficult.
city.
No,
it's not good.
no.
Anyway. So what else? Anything?
Well, on this, I mean, let's finish by something that I try to push in the lineup is like Donald Trump was sentenced in New York. What do you think about it? I mean,
what do I think about it? So nothing.
Well,
he was sentenced.
I think
so what?
He'll say
a lot of people get
because
sentenced.
he didn't get a penalty.
He didn't.
He was innocent, which is bullshit. But I'm not sure what else you could do. He's going to be the sitting president. You can't throw him in jail. It's just not good for any of us. Yeah. Even if he is whatever he is, we all know what he is now. But
no, we don't.
To put any sanction on him, I don't think at this point you could do much about
not even
it.
a fine. Not even a fine.
It's a white-collar crime. So how many people are really sentenced for white-collar?
Who's the guy? The BTX?
But not even a fine.
Who's the guy? The Bitcoin guy?
Even
BTX? Sam Bankman-Fried?
I don't know. It's nonsense, and every American knows it. What?
Yeah, Martha Stewart.
Poor Martha Stewart.
She was a white-collar criminal.
I love Martha Stewart.
She went to jail.
I know that, but she was great in jail.
Well,
she was really a heroine. I love her.
White-collar criminals do go to jail, and if they didn't go to jail, then we're really in trouble. Some of them have to go to jail. I think the only thing that I would say about the whole thing was, I think they were way too cautious in going after him, and they didn't look at the timeline. If there was any chance that their case wasn't going to be decided by the time he could be president again, they were just not looking at a good strategy. And I think they blew it on a lot of these. They should have been on him sooner if they thought they had a case, or
that's
not
a
done
big
it.
point. If they thought they had a case. It was, many Republicans and many Democrats feel that it was legal warfare and that the case didn't even deserve to be brought, whether or not that's true or not.
But you're a attorney. You know the system inside out better
I don't
than
even
we
know
do.
what he was charged with.
Well, it's 38 counts of business fraud, business records fraud.
Do you think most Americans care about that?
But
they should care.
When 30,
a crime
you
is
know
a
that
crime, Sandy.
No, it isn't. A crime is not a crime.
A jury has
not all the
supposedly
same.
his peers, but an American jury, which his lawyers had a chance to have some influence over as opposed to the prosecution's lawyers, but they convicted him unanimously on 34 counts. That's not a trivial thing. That's not like one thing. That's not one guy that maybe made one little mistake. That's a lot. And you
realize
next time the
unanimous is a pretty tough thing in this day and age.
You don't get it. Did Americans care enough not to vote for him?
I'm not saying they don't care. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is don't trivialize that this wasn't a real serious case. It was a serious case.
I will if I don't think it was a serious case. And I don't.
But you don't think in all those 34 charges, somebody in the jury would have said, this is trivial, I'm not doing it? No one did.
No, it's a crime, and he was convicted, and he wasn't sentenced. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying, I look back on it, it's too bad they didn't get the charges sooner, and then he could have really had a sentence.
Oh, baloney. Anyway, what do you think, Kim?
That part's over, but what's...
He's right. It's over, man. It was over.
What's coming in Trump's future? When he,
at the end
of his presidency, is he still liable for a lot of these? Can he pardon himself? Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay.
But he won't.
No.
It's not important.
Well, it's not clear if he can pardon himself.
How about the recent president preemptively pardoning people? Isn't that the bigger problem that we have right now? Preemptively?
I think a lot of presidents do that, don't they?
No, they don't. They pardon people who have been convicted. These people, Steve, the ones he wants pardoned, like Fauci, they haven't even been convicted of anything yet. He wants them pardoned even before they're convicted.
Is it possible? No.
So he's going to make it possible. Why don't you guys listen to what's going on?
They pardon him. I'm not sure how they do it, but they can't pardon themselves.
Why don't you?
A president can't pardon themselves, but
Yes,
they can pardon other people. No, they can't.
Okay, but he has never, as far as I know, no one has ever preemptively pardoned
You might be
anybody.
right. I'm not sure.
Why aren't you shocked about that?
No, I'm not shocked about it. I don't know. I thought that was
when I first heard it.
Why? What is the lesson you're shocked then?
Well, what shocked me was, I know you didn't ask me this, but what shocked me was that was possible.
I know it's not.
And then after I talked to a few people about it, I I guess it is.
Yes, if you're on Biden's side, then you think it's possible. If you're not on Biden's side and you think the guy is really hopelessly incompetent at this point, then I'm not on his side.
Now, what about, okay, well, let's take the opposite side of it.
Okay.
Let's say there's some people that still have not been prosecuted from the January 6th.
Yeah.
Trump.
No, he didn't say that.
I think he does say he's going to pardon everybody.
No, he doesn't. He says he's going to pardon those who are in jail.
Will he let the ones that are still not prosecuted yet continue to be prosecuted?
I don't have a clue. Do you?
I think we're going to find out. I think he's indicated that he's not going to do that.
He doesn't.
He's going to get, so the same thing that Biden's doing. He's going to let everybody off.
He's not going to charge them.
All this doesn't look good for a democracy, for
It's
a republic, for a country that is based on rule of law.
He's not
like presidents
talking about
pardoning
preemptive
kids.
pardons.
What about ones that are in charge but not tried?
No, he's going to pardon those who have been convicted.
Yeah.
You don't think? Okay, we'll see. I think he's going to. I think he's going to pardon people that haven't been charged yet.
No, but
haven't been convicted yet.
But that's a big word, Steve. I think. Do you have any proof of that?
Let's conclude on what is the situation here in Burlington. Final words about this gag. I mean, this executive
Final
order
words
and
is
what
I think
2025 has in store for
a
us.
new police chief.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Or at least an interim.
Be interesting to see what the chief does.
In other words, for his own career.
Is he going to have his office at the at City Hall, like so that he can?
Yeah, but that's
make his,
3
his
years
press
away.
release?
They all land on their feet. The other day, I think I mentioned to you, Sandy, that Brendan Del Pozo and Murad were both on a show, not together, but they both were interviewed for a show that was on NPR, National
Can't
Public Radio.
believe it. Really? They
were talking about some of the issues of
Del Pozo with Murad?
They weren't together, but they were both interviewed on the same show. They weren't ever in the same mic together, but they were both asked questions. And just to note, Del Pozo's landed on his feet. He's working for something or other. And then I see now the mayor. He's working now. He's like a visiting professor at Harvard or something.
No. That's as you said, a visiting mayor. The mayor's unclear to me has landed on his feet briefly.
Yes. Well, these guys all.
The police chiefs, you don't have to worry about. They got fat pensions.
Yeah.
They're fine. No
well,
matter
so
what
I would
happens.
guess Moreau's okay too.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have the same kind of thing.
I wish him well. I like the guy. Politically, I differed with him a lot, but
if you watch, let's say, if you think whatever he was good or bad, but watch Stanek at a meeting.
No, I like
me
her.
last night. And even in your dreams, could you imagine Moreau doing something like that? He was not. He just wasn't good.
I support Emma Mulvaney Stanek. I think that she was the best choice. I think her task is unbelievable.
Oh God, yeah.
It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
You wonder, did she know it was as bad as it's good?
I mean,
she's got things on her plate now that are just horrible.
I would like to be able to help her out, honestly, because this is our city.
Well,
this is where we all live.
How can citizens, beyond or outside the voting, system, be part of the solution?
Just like what we're doing.
They're trying.
But it has to be a bigger.
Cities may not have. Some cities might, but many cities don't have the resources. That's Stanek made that point last night. She said, we need help in Burlington. And all these things we're doing, but we need help because even this isn't enough. She claims that the governor, in his inaugural, never mentioned the issue of homelessness, and only mentioned Burlington as in the note of saying Burlington's got the resources to do what's got to be done. That's what she claims. Yeah. He said at the inaugural. She was there.
I watched it. I didn't see him say much of anything, really.
No. Well,
he doesn't need
He mentioned housing as a crisis, but not homelessness.
He doesn't need to. He won so overwhelmingly because people are so sick of, I'm not saying right or wrong, but people are tired really of liberals and the Dems and the Progs. Yeah. And I'm not, but I think we have a lot of work to do in the city to rebuild. And I welcome, we didn't even get into discussion of what's happening on city council in terms of the petition, the apartheid-free petition, or the ceasefire. We didn't get into any of those positions.
A lot of people are saying that all this is, making the way for Republicans to get more active.
I
more
think
ground.
Yes. No, it's making more room for the Democrats.
No, I think it already showed in Vermont. It made more room for the Republicans in this round. Yeah. The last round of state elections,
in the state,
the room was Republicans. It wasn't Democrats. That benefited.
No, but that was in the state. Citywide, the Conservative Party is really the Democrats versus the Progs. That's the political split on City Council. There is not even one Republican.
That's right. But we're unique. But basically, this demagoguery, whatever you want to call it, Republicans are benefiting from. Democrats are not. I don't see in any way they're benefiting.
No, but within the city, that isn't true. It's the Democrats that have done that.
But we're unique in having. We don't have Republicans, Democrats. We have Progs, Democrats.
No, we used to have Republicans though.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
What we're losing is we're losing Joan Shannon, which could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, according to some people, yes.
Yeah. So goes the life in the Queen City.
Hey, wait a minute. There was a cartoon once in the newspaper. As goes Burlington, so goes France. You remember that one, Bernie?
Yeah. Mitterrand, at that time, Mitterrand was elected.
40 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
So
all right.
we'll see.
So we should
we'll see what's happened in France, right?
Well,
Maybe
he's going to
the
go down
mayors
too.
And the police
Macron,
officer,
right?
I mean the mayors
Macron.
and the police.
Macron.
Yeah. Macron.
Well, okay, bye.
Macron. Voilà, c'est la fin. I was about to speak French. That's it for today.
So go ahead. We live right near Quebec.
C'est la
Bonjour.
fin. Oh, yeah. Quebec. Quickly, before we go, we have 1 minute.
We have to watch
Canada,
Quebec.
Canada, the Prime Minister resigned.
Oh, Canada.
51st state.
So my sister is like out of her mind. She lives in Ottawa. She's going crazy. I mean, she believes that Trump will do it. He might.
Well, they'd have to invade. They wouldn't go peacefully.
She says, would NATO support Canada? And I said, are you serious? NATO is the United States. Anyway, okay, but goodbye.
So goes Burlington.
And how about Panama? He's going to take over.
Thank you all for watching us, and see you soon on Voices of Vermont.